All right. You all ready? You ready? Okay. So, in 1996, Kristi Harold founded the Sport and Social Group, which is the largest adult sports league in the world. With over 130,000 members, they are scaling fast. 130,000 members, right? That's so impressive. When a company grows at this rate, employee challenges can make or break your success. Kristi's not only been victorious at building a strong company culture, she's designed a process that will turn your team into superstars. How many of you would like to have a team of superstars? Yeah? Okay, so you're going to learn how to do this. So Kristi's going to be sharing what she does to keep her 200 plus employees engaged and excited to move her vision forward. Are you all ready for this? All right, let's welcome Kristi Harold to the stage.
Hey now, you're an all-star. Get your game on, go play. Hey now, you're a rock star. Get the show on, get paid.
Hi there. Thanks very much for the warm welcome. So I am here today from Toronto, Canada. It's very nice to be in warm California. So as Allison mentioned, I am the founder and CEO of the Sport and Social Group based out of Toronto. Started the Sport and Social Club in 1996, and in my first year, it was just me doing everything by myself. Some of you can probably relate with what that feels like when you're starting a business. And in my first year, I had about 250 teams play sports. So we run adult sports leagues. It's basically, think of intramurals for people who aren't in university anymore. So everything from basketball to volleyball, dodgeball, ultimate frisbee, flag football, all sorts of different sports leagues. In my first year, we had about 5 different sports, had about 250 teams playing with us. And since in that first year, this was before internet was a thing. Websites weren't a thing. Email was barely a thing. So in those days, when I was trying to do my marketing, it was a lot of grinding it out. I spent a lot of time calling people on the phone, telling them, hey, this is my idea. What do you think of it? If they liked the idea, I was like, you like the idea? Can I maybe get your address book? Will you fax it to me? And then I would literally call everybody in their address books and tell them my idea. Say, hey, you've never heard of me, but I'm friends with so-and-so, and they gave me your name, and this is what I'm doing, and what do you think? And I did that for hours and hours and hours. And that's how I started my organization in 1996. So since that time, the business has grown, and it's not me anymore by myself. I now have about 35 full-time employees and over 200 part-time employees that are making the magic happen. And we now have close to about 150,000 people playing sports with us, over 10,000 teams a year. We're in 8 different markets up in Canada. And we, a few years ago, came up with a vision to grow the company. I was a bit bored, and I wanted to do more. I had 10 years of running a lifestyle business when I was home with my kids a lot, and it was fantastic. As they grew, I started to realize I need more of a challenge, so I want to grow this thing. And the way to do that, I decided, is going to be through acquisitions. So this was about a year and a half ago. And this past year, where we were trying to grow to is a goal, our BHAG. Who here knows what a BHAG is? A big, hairy, audacious goal. I want to get 1 million people playing every year off the couch, out being active. That is my goal. I would love to touch that many lives every year. That's going to take a lot of work, and I decided the best way to do that would be through acquisitions. So this past year, I've completed 4 acquisitions in our first year of doing acquisitions. And those were all in Canada, and I'm excited to say we actually have our first joint venture deal planned for the US. I hope that'll be completed by the end of this year. So that's really exciting. I'm hopeful to be able to say I'm doing business in the United States. Anyway, I will say that the growth we've had has been largely because of the culture that we've implemented over the years. And so that's why I'm here to talk to you today, is about culture and how important it is to have a strong culture when you want to build a successful business. So why is culture so important? Culture is the DNA of your organization. It is the identity of your business. It is your values. It is what differentiates your business from your competitors. Culture will also help you attract rock star employees. And it's those rock star employees who are going to drive your business to success. Let me give you a little example. A couple of years ago, a member of ours was coming in to pick up sports equipment, and I guess he came into the office a number of times over a few years. And I only learned this story after we hired this fellow, but he told me that every time he would come into our office, he was blown away by the culture. And I'm not talking about fancy, funky office space, although we do have a cool office now. We didn't always. I'm talking about he got a vibe from my team of people. He couldn't believe how everyone just seemed so happy working there, and everyone was so friendly and outgoing. And he said he just was so hating his job that every time he would come into our office as a customer, he was like, I wish I could work here. So he kept his eye on job postings, and a job came up, and he ended up getting the job. And I heard this after the fact, but it really does work. Having a strong culture will help attract rockstar employees. It also will help retain rockstar employees, and that's the key. You want to retain them, because if we retain our employees, we're spending less time recruiting, interviewing, hiring, training, onboarding, right? That takes a lot of time and energy, and we're not actually driving our business forward when we're doing all that. So retention of strong employees is really important, and that's something a strong culture can help you with. Thirdly, having a strong culture means you have employees who are happy, they're engaged, they're inspired working with you, versus a crappy culture where someone's miserable, negative, dragging their ass to work every day. That kind of culture does not create happy customers, because a miserable employee isn't going to be giving great messaging to your customers. Engaged, inspired, passionate employees, yeah, they are. They're going to be giving great messaging, and they are the ones who will create happy customers, and happy customers creates repeat business and increased word of mouth, etc. So a lot of reasons I think we can all say that having a strong company culture will go a long way to benefit your business. But don't just believe me. Let's go on to some statistics. I think every good presentation needs some statistics, right? So these are some statistics for you on culture. Forbes tells us that companies that have a strong culture will experience 4 times increase in revenue growth. Culture IQ tells us that 86% of employees who work in companies with strong organizational culture feel that their senior leadership listens to them, versus only 70% of employees who work at a company without a strong culture. And Deloitte did a 2016 Global Human Capital Trends survey, and in that, they found that 82% of respondents surveyed believed that good organizational culture was a strong competitive advantage. And WWW, which is, as you probably know, the World Wide Web, tells us engaged employees are 24% more likely to help boost sales. These are very convincing statistics. To be honest, I have no idea how any of these statistics got measured. I'm not sure you really can measure statistics like this when it comes to culture, but I really do believe strongly that although I don't think you can actually measure it, strong culture definitely does point to improving your business success. Let me share a personal story. I learned the hard way how having a horrible company culture really can negatively affect your business. It was after my first year of university. I moved back to the small town I'm from, north of Toronto. It's a small town called Sudbury. It's about 4 hours north of Toronto. I am just a small town girl living in a lonely world. And so I was up there for the summer, hired all these painters. I was going to run a franchise of College Pro painters. You guys heard of College Pro? So it's a university franchise opportunity for students. You learn how to run businesses. It was a fantastic experience. So I hire all these painters. I had 8 painters working for me. They start working in May and June. They're producing all the jobs. At the end of June, half my painters quit. Let's just say they thought of me as a dictator. So I was acting like a dictator, truth is. I was a hard ass. I was driving them to work towards my vision and my goals that they had no idea about. I just wanted to make a lot of money. I didn't really care about their personal needs, their goals. It was all about what I wanted. And I worked them hard, and it blew up in my face. So halfway through the summer, half my painters have now quit on me. I have to stop production. I have to start recruiting, interviewing, hiring, training a whole slew of new painters, and finally get started on production again to finish the summer. Now, immediately, I decided I better change my ways for the second half of the summer. I started bringing popsicles to the job sites on hot days to show them I appreciated them, and I planned social outings once a week or once every 2 weeks to take my painters out and show them I appreciated them, have some fun with them. I also shared my vision, my goals for the summer. I shared it with them. I told them what I was trying to do, and I created some incentive programs, some contests to help them get behind my goal and help them want to make those become reality. The difference was unbelievable. So from that second half of the summer, those painters all stayed with me for 2 more summers after that. So the retention was huge. And my profitability, my second and third summer of running College Pro painters, I made double the money that I made in my first summer of running College Pro. So that's my personal experience with how a really crappy culture can really negatively impact business, and a really positive culture can really positively impact business. No statistics, I'm sorry, but my personal experience is it works, and I became convinced I'm going to invest in any business I do. I will invest in having a good culture. So today, what I would like to do is share with you the top 10 list of ideas, David Letterman style, top 10 list of ideas that we use at the Sport and Social Group to keep our focus on culture being key in our organization. This list is in order as voted by my staff. They gave me their feedback. We do more than just 10 things, but these were sort of the top ones that they all feel, and it's in order of how strongly they feel about them, which is I found quite interesting, because it wouldn't have necessarily been the order I would have put it in, but it's powerful that this is their order. And so I will remind you that although every company is unique, and every company culture is unique, as I said earlier, it is the DNA of your organization, I believe that there are some very easily implemented tactical ideas that any business can do. And so that's what I'm hoping to share with you today. I would love if each of you grabs 1 or 2 little nuggets that you can walk away with thinking, hey, I might try that in my business. I hope that many of you will get an idea that you'll try, and that it might help improve some business success for each of you. So take what inspires you, leave the rest. Number 10 on our top 10 list, incentives and profit sharing. I will note, so you can see on the bottom of each slide, there's a little dollar figure. Majority of these ideas are low cost. So I tried to give you a little legend to show which ones are more higher cost. This one is a big cost. Many of them are not very low cost or no cost at all. So this one, incentives and profit sharing, yes, it is a high cost to do these types of programs. However, you budget for them. So the truth is, you're only paying out for incentives or profit sharing if you hit certain targets that you've planned for. So truth is, if you're paying out the money, it means the company's done well. So you should be really happy paying out that money. So that's the way I've always looked at it. We'll talk about incentives first. We are a seasonal organization. We try and hit a certain number of teams in a given season. That's our business. So I set targets with my team. If we hit this many teams in the season, we usually have some kind of a fun prize at the end of the season if we hit. And if we don't hit, we don't get the prize. But the prizes have been anything from a funky new espresso maker for the office, or perhaps a $100 shopping spree where we all will go to the mall for an hour at the end of a work day. Everyone gets $100 to spend, and then we meet up for drinks afterwards, and everyone has to show what they bought. You only get 1 hour, and you have to go spend that $100, and you all have a drink afterwards. And it's just a fun a fun way to celebrate hitting a target. Maybe we'll go out and do a night out on the town at a comedy club or a boat cruise. I mean, it's been so many different things over the years, but each season we have some kind of a fun seasonal incentive. That rolls up to an annual target. About 18 years ago, started having an annual target where we told our team, if we hit this target, we will take you on a trip, 3 days, somewhere warm and all-inclusive. And if we don't hit the target, we don't go on the trip. So I'd say in the last 18 years, about 15 years, we've hit our target, and we've gone to an all-inclusive. You can see that's a photo of a couple of years ago with all my team at the all-inclusive. And I have a young staff, so this is exciting for them to get to go to an all-inclusive. And yeah, it's expensive, but we're only paying for it if we hit a certain target, which is really exciting that we just grew and hit that target. So I'm happy to be paying that, okay? Also, on those trips, you get incredible bonding that happens that you don't get working in an office day-to-day. Getting off-site is really powerful. So all those years that we haven't hit, where we haven't been able to go on an all-inclusive, we still make sure we do a one-night. We always budget for one-night getaway, a little closer to home, might be snowy. We may only be getting on a bus instead of an airplane, but it's still one night, and it's incredible collaboration that happens and bonding that happens. So that's our incentive plan. Profit sharing is slightly different. You have to work with us for a year before you can be part of the profit sharing plan. Over the years, I've had 3 or 4 different versions of profit sharing. Our most recent one now is focused on hitting a budget every season, a financial budget based on gross margin. And you have to have worked with us for a year before you're part of the plan. I would say 10 to 20% of my staff's compensation comes from this profit sharing plan. So it's fairly significant. It is paid out seasonally, and the payout period is actually a month after each busy period. So you have to be there to get your bonus from the last period. So it's strategically paid out at a time where we've just gotten through a busy period. So hopefully people aren't going to, if they are thinking of moving on and leaving, they'll at least stay through the busy period to make sure they get their profit sharing bonus. So you do want to think about that if you're going to do something like this. And the gross margin is actually something that they are the ones making the decisions on. They're the ones deciding, should we spend the money on this? Should we spend the money on that? What do we want to do to try and grow? How hard are we going to work to get new revenue sources, et cetera? It's on them. So they're empowered to drive the business forward. I'm not micromanaging and looking at how everyone's spending their money because they're bought in to the bottom line success of the business by having this profit sharing plan. It's very powerful. So that's incentives and profit sharing. Number 9, our team. I would like to make it very clear that we are a team. We are not a family. In a family, you get unconditional love. In a team, you better be performing. You don't get unconditional love. You need to perform to stay on the team. So we are a team. And I also want to point out we are a very collaborative team. We all have the same vision and goals that we're driving towards. We are not competing against each other. We are competing with each other. We are on the same team. We are competing within our industry. We want to be the best in our industry, but we are not competing with each other inside our organization. And I think that is something that everyone feels, which is very powerful. In fact, it's super common in our office. We have a big area where majority of the team sits called home court. We have a lot of sports analogies. We run a sports business, right? So again, think about your own businesses and what will work with your business. So home court, at the end of the day, at 4:45, 10 to 5, it is so common to hear someone say, hey, I'm going to be leaving soon. Does anyone need help with anything before I go? Every day you hear that get said, multiple times. Or you'll see a Slack message go out to everyone. I'm going to be leaving shortly. Can I help anyone with anything before I split? That happens all the time. And that is something I think that is shocking for new employees. They're like, wow, this is unbelievable. But they see that everyone is doing that, so they start to do it too. It's a really collaborative, cohesive environment, all driving towards the same vision, same goals. In order to get a good team, that doesn't just happen by fluke. You heard the saying, hire slowly, fire fast? You guys heard that saying? I believe in that very strongly. From the time that we post a job to the time that we actually have someone sitting in the seat working can be 2 months or more. It's a long process. So we'll post a job. We may get usually 200 to 300 applications for most jobs that we post. We will narrow that down to about 20 applicants on paper, and then we invite those 20 applicants to come to a group interview. So we usually do 2 group interviews of 8 to 10 people. And the reason we do this is this enables us to meet 20 people in 3 to 4 hours versus 20 people in 20 to 30 hours. Okay, so it's very efficient having group interviews. So we invite them to a group interview. We tell them the process up front. And the process, you're going to think it is a bit, perhaps, it's going to sound a little bit Donald Trump and The Apprentice-like, but I'm not Donald Trump at all. So what happens is we tell them the process, and the process is when you come to the group interview, we spend about an hour with the entire group. After about an hour, we narrow down to 3 or 4 people that we will ask to stick around, and we let everyone else go home. And we tell them this, they know in advance before they show up for the group interview that this is going to happen. And so they're not shocked. And we remind them very clearly at the start of the group interview that this is going to happen. And we always say, you know, if you're uncomfortable with this, you can leave now if you don't like it. But if you want to stay, we would love to have you. And everyone always stays. Anyway, it's a bit awkward at that 1 hour point when we've sort of gotten a feel. But really what we've done is we've asked a bunch of questions around the table, and we are assessing for fit. And I will tell you, in 15 years of running group interviews with my, I don't do a lot of the interviews anymore, but over the years I've done a lot. And my business partner, president of our company, Rob, and I, in 15 years of doing group interviews, he and I leave the room, we each write down our top 3 choices. Not once has our top 3 choices been different. Not once. We know from that 1 hour who we can imagine being on our team, who in that room we could see fitting in. So it's very easy to go back into the room and say, hey, thank you so much to all of you for coming today. We really appreciate your time. We don't want to waste your time. We value our time, and we want to respect your time. So respectfully, we are going to let 4 or 5 of you go today, and we're going to keep 3 or 4 of you around for the second half of the interview. And that's what we do. So then they leave. We get into a little more in-depth for another hour with the 3 or 4 people who've stuck around. From there, from the 2 group interviews, we usually pick 2 or 3 candidates from each interview who we would consider sending a homework package to. We then send them a homework package, which it can take anywhere from 2 to 3 days for them. We give them 2 or 3 days to complete the homework package. Can be, usually it's about 3 different little mini projects, and we're assessing for any number of things. It depends on the role, but you can quickly assess with any kind of homework package. If you want to find someone who's detail-oriented, creative, resourceful, you can come up with a lot of different little ways to do that that will show how are they really going to do their work when they work here. Are they going to hand it in on time, or is it going to be late? Is it going to be filled with spelling mistakes? Or will they have proofread it? You know, you can really assess for a lot of that kind of thing by doing some homework packages. So it's very, very powerful. When we get the homework packages back, we then choose 2 or 3 people that we'll bring in for a second interview. Second interviews are about an hour and a half. They're done with more different people than who ran the group interviews. So more people on the team have met with people. And then we narrow down usually to 1 person that we're thinking that's who we want to offer the job to, and we do a short 3rd interview, which is really digging in to see, is this the right person for this role, and do they really want it? How hard are they going to sell themselves to us? So anyway, that is how we get a strong team. It takes time. We hire slowly, we fire fast. And then lastly, just a small point, because again, we are a sports business, we want to recognize our rookies and our vets. So at the 1-year mark, all of our employees, in these pictures that you can see here, all of our employees, we have an official draft ceremony, and they get their Sport and Social Club jersey, and the number on the back of their jersey is the year that they started working with us. So I'm a 96. You can see some 11 and a 17 up there. All the veterans have their jerseys on the back of their chair in home court. and all the rookies don't have a jersey. So it's just a fun little thing that we do. It's so you can think of little things like this that add some value. They add a little spice of culture to your organization, and the team loves it. So that's the team. Giving back is number 8 on the top 10 list. We didn't always give back. Took me some time to grind out being able to feed myself, clothe myself, put a roof over my own head, and actually start to get some profits coming out of the company. That didn't happen overnight. I'm sure many of you can appreciate that. But once the company did get to a point when it was profitable, I felt very strongly that I wanted to give back. And so over the years, we've had a number of charity partners, and I would say, at first, I don't think I did it very well. I just picked charities that I personally was attached to. So at one point, we were affiliated with the Canadian Cancer Society. My mom passed away of cancer, and I thought that would be a great charity. Truth is, my members weren't feeling that. Like, they weren't aligned with that. And it became clear, wow, we should have alignment with this. So we now have partnered with a charity called Right to Play. They're an international organization that helps orphaned and vulnerable children around the world. They teach life skills through the power of sport and play. So the alignment naturally makes a lot more sense for our organization. So I think over the last 6 or 7 years, we have donated over $300,000 to Right to Play. We give a portion of all of our team fees to Right to Play. Members have the ability to add on to their shopping cart when they're checking out, and our members feel alignment with it as well, because it makes sense that, hey, this is a sports organization and I'm signing up to play sports. And so that all works. In addition to just giving money, we found another way that we can help out and give back to our community. When people sign up to play sports with us, they get a basketball or a football to play in their leagues. And when they return their sports equipment at the end of a season, sometimes it's garbage. Sometimes it's in fantastic condition and we can use it again. Sometimes it's been slightly worn to the point that we don't want to give it out to a member, but it's not garbage. So we make sure it gets in the hands of underprivileged children, inner city schools in Toronto. Our members know we've developed what we call the replay program. Pick it up, play with it, pass it on. Make sure it gets into the hands of other kids. So our members know if you're going on a trip somewhere, you're going to Haiti or you're going to South America, come on into our office. We'll give you 10 soccer balls or a whole bunch of Frisbees, and you can take it and give it away to underprivileged children. So that's a small program that we try and do with our business. Giving back, it does have a cost, but again, this is a cost you can budget for. We budget for how much we're donating, so it's not a shock to us. And frankly, I love that we're giving back. It feels good to me. I know it feels good to my staff. And I know it feels good to our members. And the kids that we're helping, it makes an impact in their lives. Side effect, something we don't do a very good job of. We do not do a very good job of marketing this. I think you can actually probably do a really good job of respectfully letting people know how you're helping out. And it's something I think we need to do a better job of, and we will start to. But there can also be the side effect of a little bit of nice publicity that comes sometimes when you do this kind of thing. And in a few years ago, I was awarded, the Governor General of Canada awarded me the Queen's Diamond Jubilee Award in recognition of the support to community that we give. So, that was a pretty nice recognition, a little bit of nice publicity. And so this work can help your business in that way as well. That's giving back. Number 7, book club. Book club is probably one of my personal favorites. And I will say, not all of these ideas have been my own. A number of them have, but a number of them have come from other sources. Other mastermind groups I've been part of, it's all about R&D, right? Rip off and duplicate. So, book club came from a mastermind group I was a part of. A friend of mine was doing this at his business, and I was like, that is a great idea. I love that. So I've started it at my business. It's awesome. It's optional. Book club is optional, but highly encouraged. The way it works is I do a survey. We do about 6 book clubs a year. So every 2 months, I survey my team. I send them a little survey monkey with the top 3 books we're thinking of reading. And we've done a range of books, business biographies, self-help books, business books like books on customer service or books on marketing or whatever. Many different types of books over the years, operational books. And so I survey my team, pick the top book that they want, pick a date. Then they get an invitation to join us. If they RSVP that they would like to come to book club, then the book is paid for them. They're expected to show up at 7:45 in the morning. Breakfast is served for them, so they can grab their breakfast. We all get into the boardroom by 7:55. We talk until 8:55. It's not about me giving my opinion on the book. It's about me moderating a discussion. I want to hear from everybody. Whether they've worked for us for 2 weeks or 10 years, I make sure that everyone gets equal time sharing their feelings, their thoughts, on the book we've read. And from these book club discussions, we've actually implemented real business ideas from book club discussions. It is a very easy way to get education. It's a very affordable way to get education for your team and yourself. And so actually, I will give a shameless plug to my brother right now, Cameron Harold. He has written a number of books on business. And one of the books we read was his book called Meetings Suck. And meetings do kind of suck, right? But meetings don't have to suck, and that was the point of the book. So it was a short read. We all read it, and we all realized, holy cow, we've been running meetings without agendas. How inefficient is that? And so now, we don't have a meeting unless there's an agenda attached to it. There's a lot of things that have come out of that book specifically. There are a number of different books where they've actually become mandatory reading. When we onboard a new employee, we'll say, you have to read this chapter in this book. A customer service employee, you have to read this book, Customer Service Revolution, and you'll understand why we do this, this, and this now, because it's come from the book. So very affordable. Now, if you're sitting there thinking, but it's only me and my 2 employees, that probably won't make a great book club discussion. How about the idea of pairing up with a friend's business who also maybe only has 2 or 3 or 4 employees? Take turns. Book club once at their office and then once at your office. Take turns supplying breakfast. You can do this. It's very easy, very educational, really fun. And people really on the team feel empowered, engaged. They feel like their ideas are cared about. So that's book club. Number 6 on the top 10 list is having a fun, inspiring, and collaborative place to work. Now, please know, this does not just mean a physical place to work. More importantly, I think it's about having a vibe that feels collaborative, where people feel that their ideas matter, that there's not a lot of red tape and bureaucracy. My team tells me that they really do feel empowered to look for efficiencies. They feel that we really truly want their ideas. I mean, I bring it up all the time. I'm constantly telling people, we want to hear from you. We want your ideas. And we have one really symbolic way of doing that. We have our Can You Imagine wall, which is in this picture here. The Can You Imagine wall is the first thing you see when you walk into our office. It's a bunch of decals. It does not cost a lot to put decals on walls. And anyone in the office, anyone who's on our team, is allowed to put something up on that wall, as long as they're prepared to put their name beside it. So there's an accountability. And it can be anything they want to help drive the business forward in a positive, fun way. So a number of them are business related. For example, some of mine that I've had, one was to get a Canadian acquisition done. So I got my done sticker. You can see there's done stickers. When you get your Can You Imagine done, we put a big done stamp over top of it. So I got my done sticker for that one. I have another one which is to do a US acquisition, and I'm hoping I'll get my done sticker for that by the end of the year. But this wall is open for anybody on the team to put up. Not everyone does. But I'm always gently encouraging people to share their ideas and put it up there. And if you put your name beside it, there's some accountability there. So this is just a symbolic way to show we do publicly support ideas for change, taking initiative, and it's empowering. So if you can spend a little money on making a fun, funky office environment, when you can afford to do so, do so. I don't think it took me a long time to get to that point that I felt I could afford it. Our office for a number of years was in the basement of my house, and then it was over top of a cigar store. It was the dingiest little place. But once we could afford it, we built out a funky office space where my staff felt excited to come to work every day. And what that does do is people feel happy being in a space, so they're more apt to want to stick around and work and be there longer, right? And always, you can afford to have healthy snacks on hand, have some coffee on hand, maybe have some beer in the fridge for Friday afternoons. That doesn't cost a lot, and it goes a long way to help have a collaborative, fun, inspiring place to be for your team. Number 5, go play days and vacation time. So in Canada, the mandatory vacation time is 2 weeks. I don't even know if there is a mandatory. What is the mandatory time in the United States? 0. Okay. Yeah, it's a bit of a problem. So in Canada, it's 2 weeks. Anybody who starts working with us in their first year, they get 3 weeks right off the bat. Right off the bat. As soon as they've worked with us for more than 1 year, once they're going into their second year, they immediately get bumped up to 4 weeks. And with some seniority and time, it gets pushed up to 5 weeks. Now, let's stop and think about this. When is the time that you are busiest and most productive in your office? Just before you go on vacation. You get a little bit of shit done during that week, don't you? Right? Like, oh my God, I'm going on vacation. I got to get this done. I got to get that done. And then, when's the second most productive time? When you get back. You power through an awful lot. So, I don't think my logic is flawed by giving my team a little extra vacation time. The loyalty is massive. They love it. Duh. They are very productive before they go away and when they get back. Anyway, and sorry, the other aspect is studies have proven how energized we get when we get out of the office and turn off and just relax. It re-energizes you. It's good for your brain. We all need that. We need to shut down sometimes. And you want to do that for your employees because when they come back, they're going to be excited and reinvigorated to drive the business forward. So think about that for vacation time. Go play days is something that we do at the Sport and Social Club. Canada, our summers are very short. We get a very limited amount of warm sunshine. So I implemented Go Play Days. From the May long weekend until September's Labor Day long weekend, my staff are allowed to take Friday afternoons off whenever they want. There's a catch. The catch is they need to book it in a week in advance. They need to let their team leader know that they're going to take the Friday afternoon off coming up, and they need to put in the hours, that 4 hours that they're leaving early. Just put in the time, get your work done earlier in the week. So, and it's up to them. I have never, ever micromanaged this. I have empowered them to figure it out amongst themselves. And the only other catch is I've just always said, hey, make sure someone's in the office to get the work done that needs to get done. So if you're on the customer experience team, not all 6 of you can leave the office on Friday afternoon. Make sure there are enough of you there to respond to customers' emails and phone calls, etc. Make sure there's enough of you in the finance team that if someone needs to cut a check, we can get the check, whatever. So that's how Go Play Days work. And my team, again, they love this. So they work Monday to Thursday, 8:30 till 5:30 to make up for the fact that they're going to take Friday afternoon off. They get a head start on traffic. They beat the traffic to get out of the city, to get up to cottage country and enjoy a long weekend, a little extra long weekend in the summertime. So that is vacation time and Go Play Days. Number 4 on the top 10 list is having a mayor. So we have a mayor, and we get a new mayor 3 times a year. So again, we run seasonally. We have 3 season finals we call. So we have our winter, spring and summer is a long season, and then our fall season. So we have 3 4-month seasons, and the mayor terms run on those seasons. So at the end of our season finals, which is a big all-hands meeting that we do every season, we run our mayor elections. Anyone can step up to say, hey, I'm running for mayor. It's very casual. It's quite silly, actually, but people love it. And they will make silly mayoral promises like, every, 1 Tuesday a month, I'm going to make tacos for everyone. It'll be Taco Tuesday. Or I'm going to organize a ping pong ladder, tournament, and that's something I'm going to be doing. And you want to vote for me because I'm going to run a celebrity death pool that we're all going to bet on. It's the crazy stuff that comes from it, but it makes for a very fun, social environment. The mayor gets a budget. It used to be $200. As we've grown, they now get about $750 per season. But again, it doesn't have to be $750. Think about the size of your team and stretch that out. And so we got 35 people on our team. They take that $750 over 4 months. They plan some social outings, or maybe they'll organize something fun to do in the office, and they'll make sure that there's beer and snacks there, whatever. But it's up to the mayor to plan the social outings. The winning mayoral candidate gets some special privileges. They get a special parking spot. And they will, at the end of their term, you can see the big wall of photos. They get a funny picture of themselves framed and hung on the wall in our kitchen locker room area. It's just it's the mayor wall. So the value here, I think, is quite priceless. Everyone has their say. It's a democratic election, and it's just a ton of fun that creates team bonding out of that. So that's the mayor. Number 3, having a vision. You guys have probably never thought much about that, have you? I'm being sarcastic. Okay, so having a vision. Let's look at the $ legend on this one. It doesn't cost anything. So there's not really an excuse not to do this. It just takes your time and your energy. And sometimes it's hard to do. Working with groups, working with a mastermind group or a coach can really help with this, I think. But the truth is, you've probably heard that saying, if you don't know where you're going, any road will get you there. Don't go that way. I really would encourage you to have a vision. I didn't always have a vision. And for a number of years in our company, we just kind of were floating. It was okay. We're just, like, the ship was floating and just kind of sailing around wherever. Now, my team knows where we're going. We are going after 1 million people. And everything we do is driving towards that vision. So I have basically created, think of a blueprint. You want to build a house, you come up with a blueprint, and that blueprint then can be shared with the general contractor, who will share it with the painters, who will share it with the drywallers, who will share it with the window guys, right? So your job as the CEO is to come up with the blueprint for where you want your company to get, where you want to take it to, and share it with your team and have them make it happen. They're your painters and your drywallers and your windows guys. And you may be one of those people too right now, right? So get everyone rowing the boat in the same direction by having a vision. Don't just have a vision and just put it on the wall and like, oh yeah, we've done our vision. There it is. It's on the wall. Doesn't that look nice? It's in a framed picture frame and it's right by the front door. No. You have to share that vision and remind your team of the vision all the time, constantly. So our vision is up on the boardroom walls. That's what you're seeing, a picture of that. You see the mouse pad in that picture? Every single employee has a mouse pad that has our core values and our vision. This is our 2019 vision. It was done in 3-year increments. So next year, at the beginning of 2019, I will start to work on our 2022 vision. And it'll be we'll redo the wall and we'll redo the mouse pads. But, for 3 years, everyone knows this is where we're going. This is what we're trying to get to. The other thing we do is we don't just have them on the walls. Our leadership team has an offsite strategy session 3 times a year. And at that session, we go through a very detailed, I have this vision checklist that I came up with. It's 5 or 6 pages long. So all the sort of the bigger themed ideas on the vision are broken down into detailed items that we say, are we doing this? We give ourselves a green, a yellow, or a red. Either, yeah, we're doing it, let's keep doing it. That's getting us to the vision. Or red, no, we're not doing this yet. Then this better become an area of focus for the next season. So we pick our big projects. What are we going to do? And we're constantly driving towards we want all green on that vision checklist by the end of 2019. We probably won't get all green, but that's okay. We're going in the right direction. It gives us something to all work towards. So I highly encourage you to take the time and the energy, get out of your office, go sit somewhere, and just start dreaming of what you want your company to look like 3 years from now. Write it all down extensively. I think you'll find it's immeasurable, the value you get from that. Getting your whole team, and then sharing it with your team, because then you share it with them, you're all going the same direction. Number 2 on our top 10 list is having core values and awarding on core values. We did not always have core values. We only implemented our core values about 6 years ago. And how we came up with our core values is a story in and of itself, which I don't have time for today. But it was a fun exercise to do. And it was not done just by me, and it wasn't done just by our leadership team. It was done by myself, 1 or 2 people on the leadership team, and 2 or 3 people, employees in the company. It was a mix of people who put together the core values, and it took us some time to do it, but it was really great. And now that we have it, so our core values of our company, we have 6. They are deliver what you promise, take pride in what you do, live and breathe sport and social club, get shit done, be a Tigger, not an Eeyore, and treat every member like your best friend. Those are our core values. Those are unique for our business. Everything we do in our business comes from our core values. Every decision we make, I reflect back on our core values before I make the decision. Anyone we hire and fire around our core values. So that's core values. We don't just talk the talk, we walk the walk. We have them on the wall in 2 different places, actually. They're up on the boardroom as well as in home court. They are on everyone's mouse pads. And we talk about them all the time. We do a core value award. You can see the trophy there. It's an apple core. I'm just a bit of a literal person, so I thought that was funny. And the base of the trophy has our core values written around it. And every month, our staff get a nomination form emailed to them, a survey monkey. They nominate. It's optional, but we really, almost everyone does it. They nominate anyone in the office for a core value award. And they just give them a 1-sentence shout out as to why they're nominating them. As the CEO, I read through them in front of everybody, so it's publicly done. People love a little shout out for themselves, but even more so, people love being able to shine a light on someone they work with. It's really powerful. It's like giving a gift at Christmas. It's really powerful. It feels good to give someone a shout out. So good, in fact, that we actually were like, we can't just do this once a month. We have to have more. So we have a Slack channel now. And one of the channels in our Slack system is the shout-out channel. So there are shout-outs that come through on Slack daily, like multiple times a day. Hey, I'm just giving a shout-out to so-and-so for this core value, da-da-da. And it's really costs nothing. It's some time and energy to figure out what your core values are. They should not be aspirational, by the way. Do not have aspirational core values. They should be what you are, what you're all about. And then everything you do in your business will stem from that. So it makes making decisions really powerful and really easy. Priceless. Lastly, number 1 on our top 10 list is having a team lunch. Have you ever heard about how important it is to break bread as a family, to sit and have a family meal together? We've all heard those studies. So this is no different. Although we're not a family, I made that clear earlier. We are a team. But eating together as a team is very powerful. And this started in the very early days. My first employee, we were working in our house, and I used to say, hey, I'm going downstairs to make a sandwich. Do you want one? I'll make you one. And then the next day, he would be like, do you want me to make you some lunch? Sure. The 3rd employee gets hired. We just started taking turns making lunch for each other. Before we know it, we're like, hey, why don't we just have a schedule? I'll make lunch for a week, you make lunch for a week, and then you make lunch for a week. We did that until we had, up to the point where we had 10 employees. It got to the point, we had, any office we had, we always made sure we had a kitchen in it because this was part of our culture. It got to the point where I would sit at my desk, work, and then I'd hear, lunch is ready, and you get up from your desk, just like mom called, dinner's ready, and you get up from your desk, you go to the lunchroom, sit down and have a meal together with everyone on their team. Our voicemail in the office actually says, we eat lunch together every day from 12:30 to 1 o'clock, so if you haven't called during that time, that's probably why we're not answering the phone. And it is so powerful. After we got to 10, so 9 weeks would go by where I wasn't making lunch ever or buying lunch. It was actually quite pleasant. And then I would make lunch for 10 people for a solid 5 days. But it was so fun and so powerful. It got to the point where with different eating habits and stuff, we couldn't keep that up. We're now, 35 people. I'm not going to make lunch for 35 people. But what hasn't changed is everyone still gets up from their desk, goes to the lunchroom, not always exactly at 12:30, but you loosely start to see a train of people heading to the lunchroom around 12:30. Everyone leaves their desk for lunch. You're basically not allowed to eat lunch at your desk. Everyone just kind of gets that. That's just not done at our office. And the power of, you can see in that photo, people sitting around having a laugh. They're talking about sports and movies they've seen and what trips they're going on, whatever. It's just fun. It's fun. It's collaborative. So very, very powerful, costs nothing. Incredible team bonding comes from having a team lunch. And that was the #1 thing, as voted by my team, that they love about our culture. That's why it's in the #1 spot on my top 10 list. Team lunch. So in summary, I guess I just want to express to all of you that it's really important the cultural ideas that you choose to implement fit naturally with your organization. I think first off, you're going to want to think about your core values, because that's where natural culture will flow from, and get your vision really clearly shared and nailed down. From there, other cultural ideas will flow naturally from that. Please keep in mind that successfully establishing a strong culture means that your habits, your values, your behaviors will carry on throughout your organization even when you're not there. That is what having a strong culture means. And culture in your organization will be the sum of the examples that you set, the incentives you create, and the behaviors that you reward. Culture is what will nudge people to act in the way that you and they will be very proud of. Thank you so much for having me here today. It's been a pleasure.
Couldn't find the opening of the curtains there. Was she awesome? All right. Well, have a seat. We're going to just chat a little bit. Oh, my goodness. So did you guys get some ideas?